Hi, this is Dr. Steve from Misericordia University. Let's take a deeper look into downloading files using FTP, and in addition, let's take a better look at zip files and PDFs. In class, we were looking at FTP, or File Transfer Protocol, and mainly most users are involved in the download side of files. Now, one question that arises is, where do downloaded files go? Did you ever download something and it seems to have disappeared? Well, unless you specify differently, it's going in the PC world, it's going to go to the download folder. So we're going to take a look at that. And also let's take a look at creating a personal folder either on your desktop, on a stick, or in a cloud account. Before we do, let me just point out that on Misericordia's campus, we employ something in computer labs called the thaw drive. And that means that when you're having class in the Alden lab, that when the computer is restarted, when it's rebooted, most everything that's on that saved on a computer is going to be erased. An exception is either in the downloads folder or the documents folder. So unless you choose to save things in one of those two folders while on our campus, you may want to purchase a thumb drive, or you might want to save to a cloud account such as Dropbox or Google Drive. First, let me go to my desktop and let's create a temporary folder. And again, you can use the same process to create a folder in any other location like a stick or in a cloud drive. I'm going to right-click on a blank area, and I'm going to say New, and I'm going to select Folder. So here's my new folder, dropped right there, and now I have the opportunity to put a name on it. Now, if it's my own computer, I may type something like temp. Now, if I'm on a shared computer, like in the computer lab, I may say something like Dr. Steve Files or something of that nature. I'll hit Enter. And now I have this all set to go. Now, let's go and try our hand at downloading some files. First of all, I have this bobbing apple on our web page. I'm going to go ahead and right-click that graphic, and depending on which browser you're using, when you right-click, you're going to find some type of verbiage like save the image or save picture or something like that. So here I'm going to say Save Image, and in this case, notice that it's taking me to the Downloads folder. It's indicated on the left panel and also up here in the top. Now I also have the opportunity to change this name right now if I wanted to, but I'm going to keep it as Apple. So now this is going to save it automatically to the Downloads folder. Now at this point, let me do another thing. Let me go back and let me right-click, Save Image, because it will save it there automatically unless you change the location. So let me go change the location. You just saw me create something on the desktop. So I'm going to go to the desktop, and I'm going to look for the Dr. Steve Files folder. There it is. I can double-click or I can click Open. Okay, so now up here I can see that folder on the desktop is now the one that's open. And again, I can change the name, and I think I will this time. I'm going to say, let me click in here better, Apple for the Teacher. So I can change the name if I want to. And now it's going to be located on the desktop in my temporary folder. Now notice we can also open these files down here, and we're going to do that in a moment. Let me scroll down a little bit. Let's go and download something else. I'm going to go and download this document file. Now, two ways that I can do this. I can left-click or I can right-click. It's good to know both ways. If I just click on this and left-click, there it is, but where did it go? Again, unless you change the location, it has just ended up in your Downloads folder. But notice there's a little drop-down arrow here. Let me take it, and let me say Show in the folder. And let's see where it is. Sure enough, there's the downloads folder, and here are the two files. There's my Apple graphic as well. Now, I could also right-click. It's good to know both ways in case in some circumstances one way does not work. If you just left-click, it just drops it somewhere, ideally in the downloads folder. If I right-click and say save, now it's saying save the link because it's not a graphic anymore. Now it's making a suggestion, the last folder I saved to, which is on the desktop. This is where people sometimes go awry. I can now change that location if I want to, but that's where I want it, so I'm just going to say save. But in any case, when I download something, I can always click on it, and it's going to open up, ideally in the application that's appropriate to open that particular data file. And that would work with any of these other files as well. To be a good citizen online, you should be able to download and work with two different special file types. Let's go take a look at each of them. The first special file type is a zip file. While we're looking at zip archives, let me compare this to going on a trip. How do you prepare your clothes to go on a trip? Here I've got a number of clothes that we're going to pack into the suitcase. And then our next step will be fold them and place them neatly in the suitcase. And then we're going to seal it up, and then all of those clothes will be packaged inside that one case. One of the big benefits of a zip file is, think about the suitcase. If you didn't use one on a trip, you would have to take all of your clothes and just drop them into the back of a car. That would not be very helpful or organized. So that's one of the big features here. There's a second feature as well. We talked in class about file size. So let me compare it again to a suitcase. Let's say I took all of my clothes and they weighed about 20 pounds. It would be amazing if I were to put those 20 pounds of clothes in a suitcase, and the suitcase with the clothes would weigh, let's say, 10 or 15 pounds. Well, in the standard world, that does not happen. But in the world of zip archives, it can happen, and often does. So here we've got a bunch of files. And in this case, they're adding up to over 3 megabytes, so 3 megs. Now, if I take the zip file and I were to put all of these files into that zip archive, again, it could, depending on the compression of those individual files, it could end up weighing, so to speak, or taking up as much space as only 1.5 meg as opposed to 3 meg. So there's a little compression techie magic going on behind the scenes here. But those are two good reasons to use zip files. They're very organized, and they can actually compress down the size of the files that you're going to send or carry. To be a good citizen online, if someone emails you a zip file, or should you go to a website that contains a zip file and you download it, we then have to unzip it and unpack it, similar to what we would do with clothes when we arrive at our destination from our suitcase. So first of all, we would download the zip archive or the file. We would then open it in a zipping utility, so a program, an app. And if there is no special app on your particular device, if you're in a Windows PC, you'll find that Windows has its own zipping tool. And then we're going to simply select the files that we want to unpack. I'm going to show you a trick with Control and Shift keys. And then we're going to specify that we want to extract the files to a particular location. Again, in the analogy of the suitcase, you would pick the clothes, you'd select the clothes you want to remove, you would unpack them and poof them up a little bit, and you would put them probably in a drawer or a closet. And then you close that zip file, and you have all of those files restored. So let's take a look at that. So let's try this. On our web page, I have two zip archives. I'm going to click on one, and it's downloading. I'm going to click on it to open it, and notice that it's opening in the Windows zip utility. So it kind of looks like a regular folder, but it's a zip utility, and I can see because there's a big button here that says extract all of the files. Now let's go and select some files. I can simply pick and choose by holding the control key. So I select my first file, press the control key, click again, or an alternative way of doing it is click on the first file I want to select, hold the shift key after that, and then click another file. And notice I'll get everything from the first to the bottommost file that I chose. So if I want to select all these files, I can click on the top, hold the shift key, and click on the bottom file. I have all of them. A keyboard shortcut to doing that is Control A, and that's for all, and I have all of them. At this point, I've basically selected all my close. I'm going to select the button that says Extract All. Now, in case you're using on your particular device another zipping utility, if there's no Extract All button, then look through the menu items. Extract All will be in there somewhere, or Extract Files. Now, it's trying to suggest some place to put this. Right now, it's saying my downloads, and it's going to make a new folder. Now, I could go, and I could select and change that. Let's say that I go to the desktop, and I find my Dr. Steve Files folder, and I'm going to say select that folder, and now extract all of those files. Okay, I'm done. At this point, all of these files have been extracted. I can now close this zip archive because I don't need it anymore. When I arrive at my destination, I put away the suitcase. Now it's time to go out and look at the files. So to finish, I'm going to go out here to the desktop. Here's my Dr. Steve Files folder. Oh, look at that. I now have extracted all of these different files, plus I still have my Apple graphic there and the other file that I first started with. Now let me show you a shortcut as well. I'm going to go back in, I'm going to download that file one more time, and I'm going to open it. It's going to open, in my case, in the Windows zipping utility. Here, it's like I'm peering into the suitcase. Let's say that I only want to open up and just drag out this one file. So let me go do it. I'm just going to double click on it. So you notice I'm bypassing where it says the extract the files. So here I have downloaded and opened up and extracted one file only, which is a Word document from that particular zip archive. I'm going to close it now. So that's a very quick way to just open up one item. But you can see if I've got a bunch of files like I do here, it will be much more efficient if I Control A or click on a file and then either use the Shift or Control key to highlight exactly which files I want to extract, and then press the Extract button. That way it's going to take all of the files, pull them out of the suitcase at one time. To create a zipped archive, it's really easy, and we just reverse the process. And in the Windows world, it's very easy. You're going to go into some folder, select some files, again using Control A or using the Shift or the Control key while selecting. And then you're going to right-click and say Send to a compressed file, and then just change the name of the archive. Let's take a look at how that's done. So let's try our hand at reversing the process. Let's zip some files. Now, keep in mind that you'll probably do less of this than the unzipping, but it's good to know how to zip files as well. So now I just opened up my folder on the desktop, and here's all the contents. I'm going to reverse the process. Here's just some files sitting out there in a folder. I'm going to select. Now I can select by clicking and then holding the control key and just kind of picking and choosing if there's a couple. Or I can click on a file, hold the shift key, click on another file, and it'll accept everything. It'll highlight from the top to the bottom. Or I can press Control A for all, and it can grab all of these files. So using any of those methods, select some files, right-click over these files, and then watch for the menu, send to, oh, there's a little zip. See the little zip icon? Compressed, zipped folder. There it is. And now it places me right in there to edit, so I can change the name of that file if I want to. So I'm going to say these are myfiles.zip. I've now created a zip file. Now, just to show you that it will work the other way too, if I double click on this, now notice it's like a window, but I'm actually in the unzipping utility. I'm now peeking inside the suitcase. So we created a suitcase and piled it with clothes. We now reversed it and we opened the suitcase and extracted all of the clothes. Now let me show you a little trick with zip files in our Outlook email client. I just attached a whole bunch of graphics to an email, and I just received it, so I'm going to click on it. And here they are. Here I'm only seeing 4 of them, and here it's saying show all 10. Now, when somebody receives all this, depending on their email client, they're going to have to go in and click on each attachment, whether it's a document or PowerPoint file or a graphic. Now, here's a little trick. Notice in our email client it says download all. Watch what it's going to do. When I say download all, it took the name of the subject line, many graphics, and it made manygraphics.zip. I clicked on it to open. Look at that. It created a zip file for me. And then if I wanted to extract all of those, again, I would simply grab all of them, click on extract all, save it somewhere, and now I have all of those attachments in one step. And that way the user doesn't have to worry about missing any of those attachments or have to be burdened by going to each attachment individually. Let's finish this video by considering the second, as I called, special file type to download, and that is the PDF. And chances are you've probably worked with PDFs, but let's look at some of the particulars with them. PDF refers to portable document format. It means it's something created in the style of the Adobe Acrobat program. They are perfect copies of the original. They're so perfect that they're accepted by the government, even as official forms. You can read them for free. You can create them in a variety of apps outside of Adobe Acrobat. You can read them, copy them, and you can print them. In general, the user cannot change the contents of a PDF file. The exception is some authors of PDFs will include some text boxes. So like on official forms, they may actually allow you to type your information in the form and then print it out. But ultimately, you can't save or change the contents of it. Sometimes, as a user downloading a PDF, you can even copy and paste some of the material from a PDF, but realize, depending on the complexity of the original file, sometimes you lose the formatting. So let me download a PDF from our web page, and let's show you what I mean. I'm going to go to this PDE form, which is a PDF, PDE form 430, which is used with student teachers. Okay, so now I'm looking at the actual document. Now, when I look at the document, this is a pretty involved document. Let me just blow it up a little bit. Notice that this was probably created by Word initially, by PDE. They've got tables. They've got tables with bullets inside of them. Here they've got 2 columns of bulleted text within a table, and here there's a table within a table. Okay, that's pretty complex. Chances are, if I try to copy all of this material, I'm going to skip the header up here, but I'm going to start copying all of this. chances are it's not going to come out looking too nice. It's not going to look like the original at all. I'm going to take it right down to here. Let me do a Control-C to copy. Let me scoot out to Word for a moment, and let me paste. Okay, that's not at all what I thought it would be. So notice, unless you turn it off, you'll get this Smart Button paste options in Word, and also in many other apps. When I choose that, here's the Keep the Text Only option. Here's Merge Formatting, and also here's Keep the Source Formatting. So I suggest when you're pasting something from a PDF or other source, click into one of these options. I'm going to roll up here a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. If I do source formatting, that didn't come out well at all. Okay, let me go again. Let me try this one and see if this is any better. The merge formatting. So merge them. No, it's no better. So notice that sometimes it's not going to give, although we have the text, so we don't have to retype it, but it's not going to help us. If I were to take parts of this, let's say I wanted to take just these bulleted points, again, in other documents, it may come out with much more high degree of success. When I paste this, okay, it came out and it's looking good already. I'm going to remove it though with a Control-Z to undo. Let me now go back, and I'm going to, on our webpage, go to PDE's Academic Standards. Now notice that all of these are PDFs. Now for teachers, we will be copying and pasting material right out of these standards. So I'm going to take this, the first one that came up, and let's say that I wanted to choose this particular standard. Instead of retyping this in a lesson plan, and again, complex document, look at the text going sideways, it's aligned differently. There are tables here, there are bullets within tables. I'm not going to copy everything directly out, but for the lesson plan, I won't need all of that. I may need certain parts, like this top one, or maybe I will take this standard right here and use it within my lesson plan. So I can easily take that, and I can copy and paste that over. And again, you can try different ways in case it doesn't look right. Perfect formatting, that would fit right into the list of standards in my lesson plan. Last 2 points. Why would someone create a PDF instead of a Word document? Well, if you wanted to ensure that the document will appear exactly as the original, then definitely the PDF is the way to go, because it will look the same on any device, and it will print out on any device as well, exactly as the original. But more importantly, like PDE gave us standards in PDF format, it's because they don't want anybody to change anything. So if you have something that you don't want your students to change the contents of, save it as a PDF. Let's say that I want to create my own PDF file. Here I'm in Word, but this will function very similarly in other apps as well. Normally I would say File Save, and it will save it in Word as a docx file. But if I wanted to create it into a PDF file instead, first of all, save the document so you have the original text. But then go where it says Save As Type and scroll down and select PDF from the list. By doing this, you can now create your own PDF file. I hope this video was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in class.